Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yashoda Nandana Bhaja Janaranjana. Yashoda Nandana Bhaja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishnaprasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasatadi Satarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
His divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shrimadbhagavatam ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivajagacharya Asatarashita Shishimati, His divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shrimadbhagavatam. Our Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki jai. Grantaraj Shrimadbhagavatam ki jai. All glories to Assembly. All glories to Assembly. All glories to Assembly. All glories to Shri Guru and Guru. Hare Krishna. Welcome to ISKCON Detroit, Shrimadbhagavatam morning class. We are continuing our study of chapter 13. Kind of missing the cover. Such a beautiful cover of the Shrimadbhagavatam. If you've never seen it, then get your copy so that you can. But it was very beautifully painted by devotees under Srila Prabhupada, and just wonderful artwork is created and helps us meditate on the Lord. So, but we will, there's plenty of nectar inside as well too. So, so today we are going to be reading from Canto 1, Chapter 13, Text 40. Chapter 13 is Dhritarashtra quits home. And before we get started, we'll just say a real quick prayer. So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayam Namaskritya.
Narayanam Namaskritya.
Naram Cheva Narottamam.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Tato Jayudirye.
Tato Jayamudire.
Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu.
Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke.
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke.
Bhaktir Bhavati Neshtaki.
Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki.
Hare Krishna. Again, Canto 1, Chapter 13, and it's Text 40. Karnadara iva pare.
Karnadara iva pare.
Bhagavan paradarsha darshaka.
Bhagavan Paradarshaka.
Athabhavase Bhagavan
Atavase Bhagavan
Narado Muni Sattamaha
Narado Bodhisattva
Karnadara iva pare
Karnadhara Ivapare
Bhagavan Paradarshakaha
Bhagavan Paradarshaka
Athabhavase Bhagavan
Atavase Bhagavan
Narado Muni Sattamaha
Narado Bodhisattva
Karnadara iva pare
Karnadhara Ivapare
Bhagavan Paradarshakaha
Bhagavan Paradarshaka
Athabhavase Bhagavan
Atavase Bhagavan
Narado Muni Sattamaha.
Narada Bodhisattva
Anyone would like to repeat?
Karnadhara Ivapare
Karnadara iva pare
Bhagavan Paradarshaka
Bhagavan Paradarshakaha
Atavase Bhagavan
Athabhavase Bhagavan
Narado Bodhisattva
Narado Muni Sattamaha
Karnadhara
Karnadara iva pare Bhagavan Paradarshakaha Athabhavase Bhagavan Narado Muni Sattamaha. So we'll do the word for word. Karnadara, captain of the ship. Iva, like. Apare, in the extensive oceans.
Extensive oceans
Bhagavan, representative of the Lord.
Representative of the Lord
Paradarshakaha, one who can give directions to the other side.
One who can give directions to the other side
Atha, thus,
Thus
Abhavase
Abhavase
began to say,
began to say
Bhagavan,
Bhagavan
the godly personality,
the godly personality
Narada, the great sage Narada,
great sage Narada
Muni Sattamaha,
Muni Sattamaha
the greatest among the devotee philosophers.
the greatest among the devotee philosophers.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. You are like a captain of a ship in a great ocean, and you can direct us to our destination. Thus addressed, the godly personality, Devarshi Narada, greatest of the philosopher devotees, began to speak. Please repeat. You are like a captain
You are like a captain
of a ship
of a ship
in a great ocean,
in a great ocean,
and you can direct
and you can direct
us to our destination.
us to our destination.
Thus addressed,
Thus addressed
the godly personality,
the godly personality,
Devarshi Narada,
Devarshi Narada,
greatest of the philosopher devotees,
greatest of the philosopher devotees,
began to speak.
began to speak.
Purport. There are different types of philosophers, and the greatest of all of them are those who have seen the personality of Godhead and have surrendered themselves in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Among all such pure devotees of the Lord, Devarshi Narada is the chief, and therefore he has been described herein as the greatest of all philosopher devotees. Unless one has become a sufficiently learned philosopher by hearing the Vedanta philosophy from a bona fide spiritual master, one cannot be a learned philosopher devotee. One must be very faithful, learned, and renounced. Otherwise, one cannot be a pure devotee. A pure devotee of the Lord can give us direction towards the other end of Neosens. Devarshi Narada used to visit the palace of Maharaj Yudhishthir because the Pandavas were all pure devotees of the Lord, and the Devarshi was always ready to give them good counsel whenever needed. I believe that's the end. So the translation one more time. You are like a captain of a ship in a great ocean, and you can direct us to our destination. Thus addressed, the godly personality, Devarshi Narada, greatest of the philosopher devotees, began to speak. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Yukta Padakama Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagragatam Sagana Raghunatam Tam Sajiva Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanustute Devi Parnamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, we're in this particular chapter 13. And so just recapping this chapter real quick. Vidur had come back and had given very strong instructions to Dhritarashtra. You know, Dhritarashtra was old and he was very much attached to family and to his environment, body, so many things. And so he received all this instruction from Vidur that you must detach, you must quit. So then they had left in the middle of the night. Yudhishthira awakes and as part of his kingly duties and so forth, he goes and just being respectful, pays obeisances to all the elders. He tries to find him. He can't find his two uncles. He could not find his aunt Gandharvi. And so he was very much like in distress and trying to find out where have they gone. And so he talks to Sanjaya. And Sanjaya is also very distressed because he can't find them. And his master is King Dhritarashtra, or ex-King Dhritarashtra. And he was also very much distressed where they have gone and stuff. So everyone's like, you know, what is this game of hide and seek that's going on? But technically it was not hide and seek. So Dhritarashtra, his uncle Vidura and Gandharvi had left to detach from their particular environment, from this family life now, and go into sannyas/vanapasta, and has gone to basically the north, the Himalayas. So, as usual, at any time, there seems to be a change in environment or a change in kind of disposition of what's going on. Narada Muni appears, right, to give guidance, to give consultation, and so forth. So this is now starting kind of that point where now what we see is that King Yudhishthira, like everyone's in some kind of confusion, some kind of like distress. And Narada Muni has now arrived. Just like in Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna was in confusion, right, Lord Krishna gives counsel. So similarly, we'll see Narada Muni giving this particular counsel. But in this particular verse, today, there's three things that I wanted to kind of discuss. One is this urgency of spiritual life. Two, this old age. If you're fortunate enough to live to this particular old age, it's actually a warning from material nature. It's a part of our mercy. It's a sign of what we need to do next, and what the role of a spiritual master plays in all of this and stuff. So these are the three things that I wanted to discuss today. So the first one is the urgency of spiritual life. In this conversation with Vidur, right, Vidur is speaking with urgency. He's not like, sitting back, relaxing, and just having, conversations with another buddy. This is not the case, right? This is not like a friendly talk and stuff. There was a sense of deep urgency. Like, what are you doing? You're being foolish, right? There were with this sense of urgency, he was telling Dhritarashtra, right? You cannot delay any longer. You're old, right? Death is coming. It's coming very quickly now, right? And so this is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. When we look at Bhagavad Gita as it is, many of these instructions that have been described by Vidur are also within the Bhagavad Gita. In 227, for example, Krishna discusses that for one who has taken birth, death is certain. And I know we've discussed this before, if you've been to our classes and so forth, that, that's the only 100% death rate of, it's 100% that there will be a death rate in every country, right? So there's no getting around. And here even Krishna says, it is certain. It's not optional. It's not like, oh, maybe, yeah, okay. No, it's certain. So still the conditioned soul, still we live in this illusion, thinking, I'll do it tomorrow, or there's always tomorrow, I will take spiritual life seriously, maybe tomorrow, or when I'm older, and all this stuff. Let me first enjoy. But there's actually no guarantee of this later. And Krishna actually also says in Bhagavad Gita 8.5 that whoever remembers me at the time of death attains my nature, right? So death is this, what we would like to call, and everyone's gone through school, is this final examination, right? This is your one chance, and you will have a final exam, and that is called death. And if we do not practice in this particular lifetime, remembering Krishna now, then we won't remember him then. It is almost certain, because we will be thinking about family, about our house, about our children, about our job, about so many other things will flash before you at that particular time. What is going to, if you have not had a chance to take darshan of Krishna, eat his prasadam, stay with the devotees, hear his name, chant his holy name, how are you going to remember him at the end? That flashcard is not going to come in front, right? Therefore, there's this urgency, right? Because does everyone have their death scheduled in their calendar? No, we don't, right? So to be able to chant now, to hear now, to serve now, is of the utmost urgency. So even a little progress saves us from this danger. And what is this danger? Falling into this cycle of birth and death, birth and death, birth and death, over and over again. Living in this life of misery, experiencing birth, death, old age, disease, so many of these things. So, Vidur has told Dhritarashtra time and time again, you have wasted enough time now, it is now time to act immediately. And every second that's lost, you will never regain again, right? We've discussed that too. So, I wanted to do something a little bit different in this class, so if you bear with me. Most recently, on April 7th, His Grace Charan Prabhu left his body. And he was temple president of the Salt Lake City, Utah area temple. And he has been serving Srila Prabhupada for probably I think well into like 5 decades almost. So he's a very, he was a very wonderful preacher, a very inspirational. He started the Hare Krishna radio, like so many things he's done in his lifetime, and him and his wife. And unfortunately, due to a car accident, he left his body quite suddenly on the 7th. 2 days before he left his body, he gave a speech. He was at Sunday Feast, I believe, Sunday Feast 2 days before or something. And he was talking about this sense of urgency. And he gave a very wonderful, just small talk, but I'd like to play the first 5 minutes. I just thought it was very beautiful and important. So I'm going to try, see if it comes through in this microphone. But if we can spare these 5 minutes, I just want to make sure. Okay.
Coming out to conference weekend, Easter Sunday.
Can you hear it?
Week after the Summer Festival. Today we want to talk to you about focusing our hearts, avoiding distractions. The older we get, we realize we're not going to be here forever. Life is flying by the express freight train. Seems like just the other day I was in high school. Where has the time gone? When you realize how short is our life and how short is our time here, it should bring upon you a sense of urgency, a sense of focus, prioritization, because your assignment has an expiration date. Your time on earth is not unlimited. Prabhupada, our spiritual master, says, quote, one's material body is destined to remain intact only for a short time. So it is called kuyam, subject to dissolving into the earth. Nonetheless, if properly utilized, it can be one's best friend. When one is immersed in material consciousness, however, the body becomes a false friend, distracting the living entity from its true self-interest. However, if a person is too much distracted with their own bodies, those of their spouses, children, pets, and so on, are in fact misdirecting their devotion to the worship of illusion. In this way, people commit spiritual suicide, ensuring future punishment for failing to carry out the higher responsibilities of the human life. What does that mean? In order to reach your highest potential, you're going to have to focus your heart. You can't be distracted by things that are keeping you from your purpose. There isn't time to waste being worried about what people think of you, worried about the economy, worried about the war in Iran, worried about your kids are going to be able to get into the college of their choice. Time is too valuable to spend it agonizing over every situation, responding to every critic, every negative comment, trying to convince people that you really are okay. Those are issues of devotional Gaudiya Vaishnavism. We have a term, setting your pace. It's called Anakalashya Sankalpa. It's the firm resolve to accept only those things which are favorable to devotional service, at the same time rejecting those things which are unfavorable. So pivot from distraction are not only thieves, they not only steal the short and valuable time that we have over here, but they also obscure our true spiritual vision. They act as a veil over our sight. And when God calls you to set your pace, He is calling you, in effect, for one-pointed, single-minded, directed, laser-like focus of the heart. On the other hand, if your focus is towards the opinions of the world, then your back is turned to the Lord. But when you set your face to the Lord, Krishna, then your back is to the economy, your back is to critics, your back is to the social anxieties that cause pretty much everybody else to live worried, stressed out, live unhappily, and not before their time. So to teach or to reach your highest potential in devotional career, you have to be willing to be misunderstood by the world in order to be understood by the divine. If people think you're too intense, you're too focused, you're too far gone in your spiritual practice, well, let them. Who cares? You aren't running a race. You aren't soliciting their votes. You don't care about their applause. Your focus is on the flute call of the Lord of Vrindavan, Lord Krishna. Our energy is the greatest capital that we have. But why would we spend that valuable capital of our energy on things that are temporary when we ourselves are eternal spirit souls? Whether a child gets into a specific college is a little ripple in a vast ocean. But our connection to God through Tanya's holy name, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, is the ocean itself. Setting your face means you're not a manager of circumstances. You're not trying to order everything around you and dictate results, but you're a seeker after a divine relationship with your Creator. In other words,
so that's just a small clip of his talk, but he had that urgency and he understood it very beautifully. And 2 days later, Krishna had called upon him. So we see he spent a life of remembering Krishna, preaching Krishna's name, talking about Krishna, and so forth. So we see when Krishna does call, how he, even though the devotee has to leave, he takes the devotee with, into his shelter. So we pray for Jaru Prabhu and a safe journey back home, back to Godhead, and thank him for his amazing service he has done. If anyone has attended any of the color festivals, it is through his wonderful guidance and his inspiration that wonderful festival has celebrated so many places now. So this is the urgency. So we have to be careful. We have to be very mindful of our time and be ready to take to this process of Krishna consciousness. The second thing I wanted to discuss is this old age. In this particular chapter, we see that Dhritarashtra is old, his body was failing, but still he was very much attached to his family and his position and so forth. This is the tragedy, actually, of material life. Material nature gives us tons of warning. Like, if you were, we celebrate, 50 years, or you're 40 over the hill or whatever, all these like milestones and so forth. Sure, we celebrate it with great, pomp and circumstance and all that stuff like that and stuff. But technically, these are warning signs from material nature. Your body is weak. Every decade it gets even weaker. Every minute it's getting weaker, in fact. Your senses are going to start failing. Disease, all of these things are coming out. This gray hair starts showing up. Every morning, it's a nice vision in the mirror to kind of understand that, yes, Krishna, I am turning the corner and stuff. But, this is the thing. In material life, it's a billion plus, I don't even know how much money is being spent of the latest creams, the hair dyes, so many things just to look a little bit younger, to try to hold on to that young age and so forth. But Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita 13:9 that one should perceive the evil of birth, death, old age, and disease. This is knowledge to see direct reality, right? If we don't understand that how devastating this process of birth, how difficult it is for death, to go through this process of death, how old age, how devastating that can be, and what happens to someone who is diseased, how difficult that is. If we don't see the reality of these things and we just brush it aside, it's not going to happen to me, and so forth, or I can overcome it, no, we have to take a reality check, right? Krishna again in Bhagavad Gita in chapter 2:13, he says that as the embodied soul passes from childhood to youth to old age, we're not this particular body. Our soul is consistent and doesn't change and doesn't go through all these things, but our body continuously will go through these changes at every second. So old age is simply not, it's not the last stage before death, because then there comes birth again, right? And stuff. So there's this next destination. So the real question is what do you want your next destination to be, right? You may be young right now. You'll get older. I'll have a family and kids, house, career. That's my next destination. Okay, but that's material destinations, right? So what is going to be your next destination? And that's something we need to ask ourselves, right? Do we want to continue in this cycle of birth, old age, death, and disease? Old age actually, if we come to that point, if you're fortunate enough to come to that point, it is actually mercy, right? Because it's Krishna's telling us, it's now time to detach. It's now time to prepare. Come to me, right? Come to Krishna. So he's giving us all these little signals, like, hey, little reminders, you don't even have to set it on your phone. It automatically comes. Krishna will tell you, right? So, but if we ignore these reminders and we remain like how Dhritarashtra has, attached to home, family, all of these things, even at the very end, then we're just wasting our time, right? We're wasting this particular life. So Vidur has told him, it's time to wake up. You're in your final stage, don't waste it. And what is it about this final exam? We can take a final exam, but if we haven't practiced. The other thing is, if you haven't had a teacher, how are you going to know how to pass this final exam? And that's where this third point comes in, of having a spiritual master in one's life, right? So Vidur, in this particular chapter, has been a representative of what a true spiritual master is. He's fearless in his talk. He's not afraid to tell the truth, right? He's able to tell, whether it's comfortable or uncomfortable, he tells you the truth because he has full compassion on you. He has compassion to the soul, right? He does not dare to flatter or stuff, but he knows that this instruction will give the ultimate benefit. And that is a role of a spiritual master. Whether you like to hear it or not, they will tell you the truth and they will guide you as to how to get there, if you are willing to listen and to hear and to be in a humble state of mind. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna also says that approach a spiritual master and inquire submissively and render service. So without this guidance, what is our choice? We remain in this ignorance. But Dhritarashtra, he was already blind, right? Both physically and spiritually. And Vidur was the one who gave him this particular vision to come out of this ignorance. In this particular verse, we see that Narada Muni is here now, right? And he's another powerful example of a spiritual master. He's an ideal spiritual master because he actually travels everywhere to help deliver conditioned souls. We see throughout Bhagavatam, again, wonderful stories that lead to, different instructions and different examples of how we should live our life. He instructed Vyasadeva, leading to actually the compilation of the Shrimadbhagavatam, right? Vyasadeva was very not feeling satisfied. How do I, come out of this? And Narada Muni explained to him how to do that. He instructed Prahlad Maharaj, right? Even before he was born, within the womb, he was talking to his mother, instructing his mother. And Prahlad, being in the womb, could hear these instructions, right? And gained so much wisdom, so much from it that he, even though a son of a demon, he was Krishna conscious. So positions don't matter. Age doesn't matter. You could be within the womb and still become Krishna consciousness, right? So for mothers who are pregnant, hearing Shrimad Bhagavatam, it benefits the child extremely, to great extent. He also was the spiritual master of a hunter, Mugari, right? He was half killing all these animals, doing such evil deeds. I mean, lowest of mankind, right? When you look at his character, his behavior. But because of the instructions, these powerful instructions that Narada Muni had given him, he actually became a saint himself. So in order for us to get to this position, to be free of this illusion, to be free of, to obtain this vision of Krishna consciousness, obtain this vision of reality, to be free of this cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease, we need a teacher. And this teacher comes in the form of a spiritual master. And a spiritual master, he doesn't wait for you to be qualified, like, okay, now you may hear, right? And stuff. So whether you're qualified or unqualified, a spiritual master has such great compassion on the soul that he's willing to talk to anybody, speak to anybody, travel anywhere, do whatever it takes to help to give that mercy of this particular philosophy. And we see that in Vidur, right? He traveled back. He spoke to Dhritarashtra. Not because he wanted to be saintly, like, oh, I want to be a saintly individual. No, it's because he saw that Dhritarashtra needed help, right? They want to help. So this is part of the nature of a spiritual master. They may speak strongly, they may say things that you may not want to hear, but that's because if we think about illusion, it is so strong, right? If we look at the world today, we see how strong this illusionary Maya, this illusion is, right? We make so many plans every day about our future, even though we can't even control the next moment, right? I'm sure when Prabhuji woke up that morning, he wasn't expecting this to be his last day, right? We don't know and stuff, but we continue to make plans, even if we can't control the next moment. Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 8, Krishna even says, whoever remembers me at the time of death attains my nature, right? So with the help of a spiritual master, we continue this practice of remembering him, right? And that is their greatest compassion. A nice analogy was given. Just like a doctor may perform surgery, the spiritual master removes our ignorance, right? That's their kind of surgical procedure to remove the ignorance from us, even if it's uncomfortable. No one ever really wants surgery. It sucks, but you do it because you know you will be better afterwards. Same thing with spiritual master. It may suck in the process of it, to remove this ignorance, but at the end of it, you will be so much more better of an individual as a spirit soul. And so the importantness, you may have a spiritual master, you may but it's important to hear. And hearing is not just like hear in one ear and then a lot of times it goes out the other and so forth. Is to hear it and then learning to accept it, right? Okay, yes. Understanding what is being spoken and to be able to accept what is spoken, even if you don't like it. And then the next part of hearing is then to apply it, right? So we hear it, we have to accept it, and then we have to apply it within our lives. Because again, hearing one ear out the other, it doesn't do anyone any good. It's not going to do us any good. So these are the things that are important, or that I wanted to kind of discuss out of this verse. The urgency of coming to this Krishna conscious process. Visit a temple, talk to a devotee, read Shrimadbhagavatam, read Bhagavad Gita, whatever it takes. It doesn't matter your age. Please take to this process of Krishna consciousness with great urgency. We have to do our duties in our material life, sure, but there's nothing that's higher priority in our life than the spiritual life, right? Many people ask about, well, how do I balance spiritual and material life? It's not about balance. It's about prioritization, right? What's most important in my life? Doing my sadhana, understanding my spiritual position, and asking these questions. Where's my next destination? All of these things, right? So have an urgency to practice every single day because we don't know when that time is going to come. Old age, if you're lucky enough, will be a nice warning along the way. You will get that mercy. But again, you're going to have these reminders in and out. And if you ignore them, then you're going to continue in this miserable birth to death, old age, and disease. But take to the process, right? And so forth. And get a teacher, someone to help you through this process. Find a spiritual master who is going to tell you the right direction, because moments of confusion can come at any time. Yudhishthira, being a pure devotee, was still confused, right? Arjuna, pure devotee, he became confused. It's human nature to become confused, to not understand, to need guidance in one's life. Anything you do, you need guidance. So find a spiritual master. So these are kind of the three things that I wanted to bring today to the attention. So thank you so much for your patience. And if there's any questions, please forgive me if I misstated anything. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mother. Thanks for the wonderful class. As captain of ship. And muni, this pure devotees are like captains of ship. They can easily let us swim across the ocean of lessons and move us to that spiritual destination.
Yes, yes.
It's very important to take their association and guidance.
Yes. And Srila Prabhupada, he dropped many moons or like jewels, right? Gems in our society. So if you run across someone, or have an opportunity to associate with a Srila Prabhupada disciple, please take that time. They have such wonderful realizations and stories and things we can learn from, instructions and so forth. So take to the process of hearing from them and learning from them and stuff, because unfortunately time doesn't stop for anyone. And the lessons that we don't learn from them may be lessons that are lost in the future. So, but all these lessons are in Shrimadbhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, everything we need to know. So please take to these lessons and so forth. And yes, let it guide your ship daily to the right path. So, thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Grantaraj Shrimadbhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.